Hello, Steve Arts 89. Well, I'm nearing the end of my Star Wars Day, Star Wars Marathon. I've watched all of the films, including both the original edition and the special editions of the original trilogy, and I'm up to The Last Jedi, the incredibly problematic Last Jedi. It's not a bad film on its own. Unfortunately, it's supposed to be part of a trilogy and part of an overall story, and Rian Johnson did gleefully just abandon all that and do what he wanted to do. Now, his ideas and his story aren't bad, but it's very standalone, and it just makes it difficult to view the films, because everything you're expecting from the sequel, the thing that was set up in the first film, were pretty much abandoned. And very little of it was kept for the final. So if you try and look at the sequel trilogy as a trilogy, it doesn't work. You look at them as individual films and you can almost enjoy them. There are a few things that I sort of had issues with that don't bother me as much now. Now, the overall issues, like, I didn't know, I saw the film in the cinema and I liked it. I didn't sort of want Luke to die, and I was like, okay, is this just what they're doing? They're just taking they're giving the originals one last film each. Han went and then Luke went and now Leia's going to go on the last one. Is that what they plan to do? Like, to introduce these new characters to continue on and take the older ones out, rather than just give them a nod and allow them to keep, being there. So I figured that's what was happening. I wasn't that bothered. But then I stumbled into the whole toxic fandom thing. And there was this guy at a DVD store who told me about the issues and about the toxic fandom. Anyone who didn't like Last Jedi was automatically toxic, a toxic fan. And yeah, most are, but some aren't. I mean, there are people who legitimately don't like Rose Tico because the character did an incredibly selfish thing. She stopped Finn from sacrificing himself to basically protect the rest of them, and she didn't know what was going to happen. She made the choice to sacrifice everyone just so he could survive, because she wanted to have a relationship with him. That's the most selfish thing I've ever seen in a film. And how can you like that character? You might be able to pity them for being so pathetic that they did that. They were so desperate for love that they'd sacrifice a whole movement just for one person. But so that, and so far as the Luke thing, I mean, everyone carries on about how he became a hermit and went to the island. I mean, did they see, Jedi? Did they see where Yoda was hanging out? Did they see what old Ben, what he did? He basically was a hermit too. Jedis, that's what they do apparently. If things don't go right, they remove themselves from the situation and go and hermit. So that is not the issue. And he did come back, not physically in person, but he came back in spirit and basically left whatever plane we were on, sacrificing himself to buy them time to keep the movement going. And he knew that Kylo, whatever, was so full of rage and hate that he would just be blinded to everything else. He didn't even see that he wasn't leaving tracks on the ground, which I remember watching that, thinking, okay, that looks beautiful in the previews. And then when I saw it, I'm like, this is a story point. What is that going to be? Oh, that shows that he's not actually physically there. He's not leaving any mark on the ground. He's not real. But, his name is it Kylo? My mother's dog's name was Kylo. Am I getting confused with that character? But so yeah, he didn't do anything out of the ordinary for a Jedi by going in hermit, and he did basically get lured back into being a hero, and he saved everyone. So I don't quite understand why people are that upset. I guess he could have just exhausted himself and still lived and been in the next film. I guess it wouldn't have really changed things that much. He would have saved them all and given them hope back again. He didn't actually have to fully sacrifice his life to do it. But I'm not that bothered by that ending, as much as I was at first. Now, Rian Johnson was a little selfish. I mean, he knew he didn't have Princess Leia going into the next film, but he left things in a really awkward position for whoever made the next film. He didn't care about that. There's a little part of him which I think just enjoyed messing with Star Wars. I've seen enough comments and quotes and feeds from him to know that there's a little part of him that got off on messing with this franchise. But again, it still doesn't make the film bad. And a lot of the things that people harp on, they're just, if they're not dog whistles, they're just excuses to hate the film, because that got a lot of clicks, a lot of views, and a lot of money for YouTube people. But I'm going to go. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think. Enjoyed the film more than I did. Not as many issues as I had. But I still have to watch The Rise of Skywalker to work out how to make sense of this whole thing.